Um, Hello, everybody. Aiden here, and welcome into another video here on the Around the Slice Entertainment YouTube channel. So, as is the case every Thursday night around here, episode 8 of season 2 of The Pitt premiered tonight on HBO and HBO Max. So, as always, I'm here to discuss it with you all, give you my biggest takeaways from this episode, what I enjoyed most from this episode, and specifically the individual storylines slash character storylines that I enjoyed most from this episode. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into it, shall we? So, from a top-down view, backtracking a bit, right? The Pitt's now gone analog. The hospital ER level room has now gone analog due to the cyber attack. All pen and paper, no electronic patient documents anymore, no electronic big patient board anymore. You have to go analog. Everything is handwritten, all the charting handwritten, all the patient check-ins handwritten. And I'm just going to tell you guys right off the jump here, right off the top, if you will, I loved this episode. It will be evidenced by my score at the end, but I really freaking dug this episode to its core. I loved it to its core, if you would. It was intense. It was dramatic, considering the circumstances slash situation that it was in. It hit all the right notes of a dramatic, intense episode of The Pitt, and I absolutely adored it. So, starting right at the top here, at the beginning of the episode, they're all trying to figure out, did anyone get a picture of the patient board? And yeah, technically Whitaker did, but technically he also didn't, because it was extremely blurry, and Dr. Robbie and the higher ups, Dr. Al, Dr. Robbie specifically, couldn't make it out, if you would. But who comes to rescue? Who steps up big time? A character that I'm becoming more and more of a fan of with each passing week, each passing episode, Joy. We backtrack to the very beginning, first few episodes of season 2, this season specifically as a whole. She comes off as sarcastic, maybe rude at times, kind of lackadaisical, like, does she really want to be here? But as time goes on, she's really stepped up. And in this episode, the beginning at least this episode, she steps up big time. She has a photographic memory, and she is extremely helpful with just spitting off left and right. This patient is who came in, and this is the room this patient was put in, and this is the doctor that was the lead physician slash doctor on this patient. Everything, boom, boom, boom. Joy has stepped up tremendously. And tying into back with the beginning of the episode, I like how witty the first 10 minutes or so while they're trying to figure out the whole analog life balance thing, how witty the one-liners with one another with doctors. The one I really enjoyed was Dr. Santos's subtle, maybe not so subtle jab at Dr. Al's generative AI, because she goes, "Oh, Dr. Al, will your generative AI tool still be working?" And Dr. Robbie just chuckles, which made me chuckle out loud too. I was sitting home watching it. And Dr. Al kind of pauses and processes, like, no, it's going to be a while, just like everything else. I thought that was really funny. And then the jabs continue. First of all, I really like how all the younger doctors, in terms of Joy, Javati, and Whitaker, and to an extent Ogilvy as well, seem very confused by this whole pen and paper scenario because they're younger generation. I'm 22 years old. If you didn't know, me personally, Aiden, I'm 22 years old. They're probably right around that age as well. So Gen Z to its core, like I am, they didn't really know what to do without the electronic stuff. They don't even know what analog is. And Joy makes a sarcastic comment where Dr. Ed's like, "Oh, you'll just have to do this in pen and paper." And I did it when I was in medical school. And Joy's like, "Oh, when was that? In the 1900s?" And Dr. Abbott sarcastically snarks back and like, "Yeah, when we actually used to do it by candlelight rather." Writing. And that was just the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes so rather, the witty banter back and forth between all the younger doctors, the older doctors, was really, really clever writing, in my opinion. So maybe something people don't pick up on, but as a Gen Z kid myself at 22 years old, I for sure picked up on it. But let's get to the heart, soul, and core, if you would, of this episode. Easily the best aspect that I personally enjoyed the most was just how much time and care each patient was given on screen. Sure, some more than others, but each to an extent, to a full extent, was given their time in the sun, if you would. So let's just run through those. These aren't in the order of what happened. These are all kind of jumbled up, but I just want to give my thoughts on each patient that we did get because it was really important this episode. We checked back in with the hospice patient, Roxy. It's really sad to say, but the more and more we see Roxy, I get the inclination personally that unfortunately she wants to end her life medically. She doesn't want her kids seeing her suffer anymore. She doesn't want her husband having to take care of her anymore and burden his life in a meaningful sense, rather. It's sad, but Roxy seems defeated. She seems to have given up on life. So I wonder within the next episode or two or so, episode 2 specifically, rather, as a whole, we're going to see her asked to medically end her life. And I think that would be a moral battle between her and the doctors. Next, overweight guy. I don't mean to put bullet like that, but the guy that came in and was really overweight, he had the fever and chills and all that. Ogilvy overstepped here. Every single week, Ogilvy gets on my goddamn nerves so much, but he had no filter here. First, the guy comes in and says, "Oh, I have the fever and chills," and then Ogilvy mutters under his breath, "Oh, I wonder why." That's number one red flag from Ogilvy. Number two, they're all in the back talking, and because he's overweight, Ogilvy goes, "Oh, maybe we should send him to the zoo. The zoo takes 600-pound, 650-pound people." Thankfully, Dr. McKay steps up and says, "Dude, he's right there. He can hear you." Ogilvy, completely out of line this episode. He gets on my goddamn nerves so damn much. The guy knows he's 450 pounds. The guy knows he should be doing himself service to help himself. The guy knows he's overweight and needs to exercise more and relax more. You don't need to be saying all that mess, all that shit with some patient that's overweight and he already knows it. Ogilvy, very obnoxious, very annoying. And I'm not saying he's going to be kicked out by Dr. Rob because he's smart, but almost to a fault where he has no bedside manner. And I don't know. It's just very strange. We see later in the episode him and Javadi kind of work together, but in the beginning they're still kind of rivals because Ogilvy's like, "Where are you going?" And then Javadi's like, "I'm going to this trauma room." And Ogilvy's like, "No, I was going here." And then they kind of fight for the patient. And then Ogilvy storms in and then they work together. It's very, very strange dynamic. I blame Ogilvy for all that though. Next, the blind woman. So she comes in and maybe it's alluded to the fact that she has a blood clot in the back of her eye that could be impacting her vision. So I'm not going to make this some sob story, but quick backstory on myself. I've struggled with vision my entire life since I was born. Vision deficiencies for sure. So obviously this woman was much older than me, but I could relate to this because I've had major vision issues my whole life and I've dealt with it the way I've dealt with it. But this is really relatable. I feel like everyone in the pit at some point in time with some patient care, trauma care, whatnot, can relate to it in one way or another at some point in time. And I could finally relate to this. I felt bad for the blind woman. Now, I'm not completely blind, thankfully. I'm just visually impaired, but I definitely felt for her. It's scary when you find out all of a sudden that you're losing vision rapidly, that there's a blood clot or something like that. I've never had the blood clot issue, but I can imagine what's going on there. And then we revisit the SA patient with Dana. She comes back with Emma after kind of walking around and getting a snack. Or wait, she doesn't get a snack, Emma said. She lets Dana, she's more calm, she's more relaxed. She lets Dana figure out what's going on and finish the testing. And then we go to Jackson Davis. More specifically, Jackson Davis's parents, are talked to by this I don't know if she's a hospital representative. I don't know if she works closely with the hospital plus the ER team, but to some extent her daughter was diagnosed with bipolar. So I thought that was really sweet, charming, and caring to have the parents of Jackson Davis, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's more specifically allude to the fact that it's bipolar in this episode, they could interact and bond over the fact that it's all going to be okay in the end. And then this is disgusting. This next part, the drunk girl, I think her name is Jackie. Yeah, her name is Jackie. She literally, don't ask me how anyone does it, bit off half her tongue because she had too much to drink, too many margaritas, too much beer that night, too much partying, clearly. Listen, historically, through a season and a half, the Pit gives us some gross, effed up shit that makes you want to look away. But this was disgusting. I was squeamish literally the whole time. I wanted to look away so bad. Obviously, I didn't want to miss a moment. This fantastic writing and show as a whole, but I was squeamish. It was disgusting. I wanted them to go away from it as fast as possible. It was really, really disgusting. And if you think it couldn't get any weirder, biting off half your tongue after having too much to drink, there you go. There's your weird for the day. And then going back to Baby Jane Doe, we see that the guy comes from upstairs who specializes in pediatrics, I assume, and stuff like that. And he says, it's fully healthy. She's fully healthy. You don't need a bed for her upstairs. And Dr. Mohan gets really upset. Behind the scenes, not the doctor. And Dr. Ale, and if there's one quote-unquote nitpick I've had with this season mainly so far, it's they've really drug out the whole Baby Jane Doe storyline. I'm sure it will be unclear by the time the season ends because the Pit doesn't do anything without intent. It doesn't just throw shit at the wall and hope to see what sticks. It does everything. The writers do everything with intent. There's many loopholes to work, not loopholes to work on. What am I trying to say? There's many storylines that tie back from the end of the season and the beginning of the season. So I'm sure all in due time, we will fully understand the whole Baby Jane Doe thing. But the end of episode 1, Dr. Ale clearly has a visceral emotional reaction to this after being handed some note or /sheet at some kind. And it hasn't really been addressed. They're really playing the long game with the storyline. Again, I'm not really concerned for the end of the season because I'm sure it will tie. I know for a fact that 100% will tie back to something. But this was a nitpick coming in. But I'm glad that they addressed it for the first time in 4 or 5 episodes, pretty much, which we went too long with that storyline, as I just explained. So heart and core, soul/core, if you would, of this episode. Patience. Multiple patients got their own meaningful screen time, and I really love that about it. Now, something to squeeze in as well here before we end off tonight's discussion. Dr. King and her deposition, her malpractice lawsuit that she's being sued for. This has always been hinted at what it's about. This has always been danced around, subtle hints here and there what it's about. But we finally know in verbal communication what Dr. King's deposition is actually about and what's the reason that she's getting sued in a malpractice lawsuit form for. Goes back to last season. It's because of the measles kid, and it's from the mom that got very angry at the hospital, and Dr. King specifically here in this case for performing a spinal tap on her son. Now, some other doctor assures, I think it was one of the night shift doctors from the end of last season, if I remember correctly. She assures Dr. King, like, wink, wink, you'll be okay. We're not really supposed to talk about this with each other, but like, wink, wink, the hospital's got you. They'll protect you. And there's really nothing to be worried about here. The mom is just trying to protect her son for all intents and purposes. But yeah, there's nothing to be worried about. So anyways, guys, this was a phenomenal episode. Disaster has struck, and it's only going to get more batshit crazy from here on out going forward, and I cannot wait to see. This was just the start. This was just a boiling point. Well, we finally got to the boiling point, but this is just the start of the batshit chaotic craziness that we're about to see. Again, cyber attack, Dr. L's generative AI is down. Electronic charting is down. Computers are down. The electronic patient board is down, but luckily they have Joy, who self-proclaimed photographic memory and really shows their worth. And then I just loved how much screen time these patients got. Again, I love this episode. I'm going to stop beating around the bush. Absolute perfect 10 out of 10 here, in my opinion, for episode 8 of season 2 of The Pitt, titled 2:00 p.m. In that one disgusting scene with the bit off half tongue, that's just screaming. Anyways, guys, you can. So of course we always have fun and exciting videos, other than just episode reviews, on a weekly basis coming out on this channel. Fun concepts, all that fun stuff. But bit of housekeeping. Just recently, within the last week, the finale episode for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms dropped and premiered on HBO and HBO Max. So my finale discussion is now up on the channel for that. Spoiler alert, I thought it was spectacular and fantastic, but please go check that out. It means the world to me. And then I also just covered the 3-episode premiere the other day, earlier this week, rather, of Hulu's Paradise. I watched season 1 in the span of literally at the last minute, 3 days. Gave that a 10 out of 10. And then if you want to find out my score for this 3-episode premiere that just premiered earlier this week, you'll have to go see that. But every Thursday night, we're going to continue to have The Pitt. Every Monday night going forward, we're going to have Hulu's Paradise. It's going to be a fun time. And then within the next couple of weeks, it is an absolutely awesome time to be into nerd culture, pop culture, just fandom in television as a whole, specifically because we're going to have Euphoria, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Invincible Season 4. So much good shit on the horizon for television, and more specifically, this channel as a whole. So anyways, guys, you can follow me personally on Twitter /X at AYGunner13 if you want any additional movie /TV show discussions and opinions. Please like and subscribe for these weekly discussions, plus more. Please share this video and channel with anyone and everyone you know. The growth would absolutely be very much appreciated from myself. And thank you for the support. As always, let me know down in the comments below. Did you love this show as much as I did? Would you give it a perfect 10 out of 10 as much as I did? What were your favorite storylines? What were something you're looking for going forward? Is there something I missed? Let me know down in the comments below. Always love to discuss. Thank you for the support as always. Have a great weekend. See you in the next one. Goodbye.